Hi everyone, it's Amber here, and today we are going to be learning how to play the beautiful Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. This is an excellent song to learn on the guitar if you're wanting to work on your finger picking as well as your strumming. So go ahead and put a capo onto the 6th fret of your guitar. We're going to need 5 chords. The first chord we need is an A minor. We're also going to need an A sus2, and for this chord, all we need to do is take our first finger off of the strings. Next up, we have a 4-finger G chord. We're also going to need a C major. And the final chord we need is an F major chord. And now for this song, we don't need to play a bar chord, although you're welcome to if you'd like to. But for this lesson, I'm going to be using a mini F bar chord, which is where I take my first finger and I just bar it over the B and E strings, and I add fingers 2 and 3. And this will do the trick. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be jumping in to learn the finger picking. So let's go in for a close-up. Right, so here we are zoomed in to learn the finger picking part of the song. So again, make sure your capo is on the 6th fret. And the basics for the finger picking is your thumb is going to be taking care of the low E string, the A string, and the D string. And then your index finger is going to remain on the G string. Your middle finger is going to remain on the B string, and your ring finger is going to remain on the high E string. Now your thumb is going to move around depending on which chord you're playing and which root note you need to play for that specific chord. Now the first chord that we need to play is an A sus2, okay? Remember, this is like an A minor chord with our first finger lifted up off the strings, okay? And we're gonna have that tab up on the screen for you. And because we're only picking the G, B, and E strings, this means we're going to be picking out our index, our ring finger, our middle finger, and our ring finger again. And that's one round of the picking pattern. Okay, we're going to be learning this in blocks of 4 notes. So we play that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we can call out index, ring, middle, ring. Index, ring, middle, ring. Okay, so that's the intro of our song. And up to speed. Now we're going to get into the meat of the song, which is our verse. And this is going to be the first verse of the song. And we have a G major. And you can see there in the tabs, we play that for 2 bars before we change to the A minor. Okay? So when we play a G major, we have to play with 4 fingers. And our thumb is going to be playing the bass string, which is going to be our low E string. And we're going to be playing thumb, ring, index, middle. And that's one block of the picking pattern. So that means we're going to be doing that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Another way we can call out is P-A-I-M. P standing for thumb, A standing for your ring finger, index is I, and M is for middle. P-A-I-M. When we change across to A minor, our thumb is going to move down to the A string as our root note, and the other fingers are going to just play the exact same pattern. P-A-I-M. So let's go through that line again, starting on the G. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the A minor. So if you are enjoying this fingerpicking part of the lesson and you want to take your playing even further, then I'd really love to invite you to join my brand new course called Let's Pick It Up. Now inside, we go step by step through the foundations of fingerpicking. We dive deep into Travis picking and folk style fingerpicking. We also explore a wide range of real songs, from Spanish to folk to classical. This course is not just a bunch of exercises. I really want to point that out. It's about learning actual music so that you can sound like a real musician and you can build a repertoire of songs that you can be proud of. So click the link below the video if you'd like to sign up. I'd really love to see you inside the course so that I can help you to become a stellar fingerpicking guitarist. Right, let's get on with the lesson. Next up, we have the third line of chords. And you can see there we're going to be changing between an F and a C. So we have F to the C. Okay, the F is going to get the first half of the bar, so we're going to get one round of that picking pattern, P-A-I-M. So our thumb is going to be playing the D string, P-A-I-M, and then our thumb is going to travel up to the A string for the C. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We have F first to C. That second bar is going to just be C repeated again. The third bar is the same as the first bar, F to C. P-A-I-M, P-A-I-M. And then the last bar, we have the C chord again. And the time signature there is 2-4 because we're only playing 2 beats in that bar. 1 and 2 and. So we're going away from the 4-4 time, which is what this piece originally begins in. And then when we get to that bar, it quickly changes to 2-4 time before it moves back into 4-4 time. So that whole line is going to sound like this, starting on the F. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to F. C. Stay on the C. Let's pull up the next line of music. We have our F for 2 bars before we change to C. We hold the C for a half bar and then A minor for a half bar and then C again for just 2 beats. So starting at the beginning of that line, we have F, and we're going to play that fingerpicking pattern for 4 rounds. So P-A-I-M gets played 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to change to C, and we're going to play this for 2 rounds of the fingerpicking pattern. 1, 2. When we look at that next bar, the C and the A minor are going to share a bar. So C will get the first half, and A minor will get the second half. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then back to the C chord just for those 2 beats. 1 and 2 and. Okay, so let's take a look at that entire line, starting on the F. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Change to C. A minor. Back to C again. And just bear in mind that your thumb is traveling between the D string for the F chord and then moving up to the A string for the C and staying on the A for the A minor. The rest of the fingers, like I've said, stay exactly where they need to be on the G, B, and E strings. And then that final line of music will be up on the screen. We have a G to the A sus2 before we do 1 down strum on A minor. So that final line, starting on the G, remember our thumb is now playing on the low E string, and we're going to do 2 rounds of the finger picking pattern. P, A, I, M, repeats. And then we're going to go to that A sus2, which is going to be index, ring, middle, ring. And we do that twice, and then we're going to strum A minor. So let's go ahead and play through that from the very start with the intro included, and then we will do it. So we'll just do a demo of the intro and the verse all together so you can get a good idea of how it's going to sound. So get that A sus2 ready, and remember we're not going to use our thumb for this first line of music. It's just our index, middle, and rings that we're going to be using. A 1, 2, 3, 4. G, A minor, F, C, back to the F chord, and C, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the C, C to A minor, and back to C, to the G, A sus2, A minor. So we've covered verse 1, where you see we are going to be doing the finger picking. Now from verse 2 throughout the rest of the song, we are going to be going into our strumming section. Now the strumming for the song is quite straightforward. If you listen to the original track, we have 8 notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And we're going to be playing that with down and up strums. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now take note, if you are used to strumming with a pick, this is going to be a little bit different for you, because remember, we're doing finger picking in the first part of the song, and so when we go into the verse 2, we're not going to have a pick. So you're going to have to improvise here. Now what I like to do is create a sort of pick with my fingers. So I take my thumb and I take my index finger and I pinch them together, and the nail on either side is almost going to act as the plastic of a pick. So on the down strum, it's going to hit my index finger's nail, and on the up strum, it's going to hit the thumb nail. And that's just the way I like to do it. Of course, you can just play with your thumb. It's going to have a slightly softer sound if you just use the flesh part of your thumb. So give it a go and try pinching those 2 fingers together. And I think it really gives a nice, beautiful sound. Now something else we're going to be doing here is adding an accent on beats 2 and beats 4. So it's going to sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if we hold an A minor just to practice, this is how it's going to sound. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way that I'm achieving this is I'm playing the other strums softer, and I'm also playing less strings. So instead of strumming all the strings, or all 5 strings for the A minor, I'm only strumming like 2 or 3 for the down, up. And then for beat 2, which is the strong strum, I strum more of the strings and I strum louder. So there's 2 things I'm doing there. I'm including more strings and I'm strumming louder. And then on the softer strums, I'm strumming less strings and strumming softer. Now, I know it sounds like a lot to think about. This is definitely something that's going to come with practice, and it needs to be more of a feeling than a mechanical action that you're doing with your strumming hand. So if you just practice on one chord, I like to use the A minor just to get into the swing of that accented rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so there's some tips on the strumming pattern. Now, one round of the strumming pattern is counting up to the 4 and. That's one round. So the chords are going to be up on the screen for verse 2. Now you're going to see that there are chords that are standing alone. For example, the first line, we have 2 Gs and 2 A minors. Now they are standing alone. They are not contained between brackets. So this means that if the chord is standing alone, then you're going to give that chord one full round of the strumming pattern. Now, when you see chords in a bracket, this means that each of those chords is going to only receive half the strumming pattern. Okay? So, for example, it's only going to get the down, up, and we're going to stop there. So it's only going to get 1 and 2 and before you change to the next chord. Okay, so let's go through this line for line. So we've already spoken about the first line with the G and A minor. So the G is going to get a full pattern, and then you're going to give it another full pattern. So it's going to sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and repeats. 3 and 4 and we then change to the A minor, and it gets 2 rounds. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's quite simple, that first line. Now the second line of chords, things are looking a little bit more different and potentially more difficult, but let's go through it step by step. So the first 2 chords we have in brackets are the F and the C. So the F will get the first half of the pattern, 1 and 2 and the C will get the second half, 3 and 4 and. The next chord is a C, so it's going to get a full round of the pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Before moving on to the next 3 chords, which are all in brackets, F, C, C. So we're going to have half the pattern on F, 1 and 2 and, then to C, 3 and 4 and then you're going to play another half pattern on C. Okay, so for in total, that line, particularly that line, is going to sound like this, starting on the F, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stay on the C. F, C, C again. The next line we have F, F, C, so full strumming patterns on each of those. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and repeats. And to C, and 3 and 4 and. We then have another 3 chords in brackets, so half a strumming pattern each on each of those chords. So C is going to sound like this: 1 and 2 and, switch to A minor, 3 and 4 and then back to C, down, up, up. Okay, and the last line, we have 1 round on the G, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 2 rounds on A minor, 1 and 3 and 4 and repeats. So I'm going to give you a demo of that second verse just so that you can hear how it all is going to sound together and you can join me for the playthrough. So starting on the G, 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, 2, 3, 4, repeats. F, C, C, 2, 3, 4, F, C, F, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, and C. Now, the tricky thing about this song is that each verse is very similar, but a little bit different. So take note of that as we go through the next 3 verses, where there might be a chord added or a chord taken away. So let's flash the chords for verse 3 up on the screen. Now, everything is the same as the previous verse, except the C in the second line has been extended to a full bar. Okay, so we're not playing it for a half bar anymore. We're playing it for a full 4 beats. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to play that line for you, starting on the F. So it's going to sound like this: 2, 3, 4. And the rest is exactly the same as the previous verse. Now, when we get to verse 4, we have some more little changes happening. So again, the chords will be up on the screen for you, and you will see that the highlighted chords are where the changes are. Okay, so the second line, that C at the very end, has gone back to being played for only a half bar. Okay, it's been shortened again. And then in the third line of chords there, you'll see that the C chord, the final C chord, the last C chord in that line, has now been extended to a full bar of strumming. Okay, so you see what I'm saying, that these verses are similar, but they're also a little bit different. So the chords are generally the same, but just the amount of time and the length that you are going to be holding each chord and strumming is going to vary slightly. So use the brackets as an indication of, I need to shorten the chord. And if there's no bracket, then you know you can play a full 4 beats on that chord. And then we have that final verse, which is verse 5. And you'll see there that the second line, again, there's a variation. That final C has been removed from the brackets and it's standing by itself. So that means it's going to get a full 4 beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then you will see that the final line of that music, we have a G with a star next to it, which means we're going to hold it. And then we're going to play the same picking riff that we played in the intro on that A sus2. And we're going to play 3 rounds of the 4-note pattern. So 1, 2, 3. Before we end the song by strumming an A minor chord. Okay, so let's play through verse 5 as a demo, because I haven't done the demo on verse 3 or 4, because I think it is quite self-explanatory. So verse 5 is going to sound like this, starting on the G. 2, 3, 4. A minor. Now, if you're feeling a little confused, I totally get it. The best way to learn the song is to put the strumming and the finger picking into action. And that's why I usually do a playthrough at the end of each lesson so that you can put everything that we've learned into practice. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So get your guitar ready, make sure your capo is on the 6th fret, and I'll see you in the full playthrough coming up next. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my walk alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp, I turn my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of the neon lights that split the night and touched the sound of silence, and in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fall and echo in the wells of silence, and people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sounds of silence. Awesome, well done everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and learning this really beautiful song on the guitar. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the lesson, you can go ahead and give this lesson a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And subscribe to my channel and join our wonderful Stellar Guitarist community. I'll see you in another guitar lesson in the future. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye.